a prison break market that is showcasing over 28 different winemakers. So already that tells me I need to be dropped off at this event. Joining us is the proudly South African CEO, Eustace Mashimbye, to unpack this a little bit more. Eustace, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Ntsako, and I'm okay, thank you. I hope you are well on your side.
I'm guessing the okay comes before you have some of the wines, right? So later today, I'll be having a better sense of how you are feeling.
No, but even after the wine, I think you will feel much better, because at least you will have gone through all of those emotions that come after indulging, knowing that you've supported a locally made product, like you said in your intro.
1,000%. So talk to us about the significance of this event. I mean, you know, it's 28 MZANSI winemakers. They're displaying their wine. I know that exhibiting is one of the best ways in marketing to kind of establish your brand and bring your brand out there. But why was it important to segregate the winemakers specifically?
So Proudly South African, represents more than 26 different sectors, or has representation in at least 26 different sectors by way of members who affiliate with us. And so from time to time we find, exhibitions and expos and trade fairs and markets that support different industries. But we had found previously that we were struggling to find a wine expo or platform that would be able to tell the story of the lesser known brands and give them an opportunity to be profiled and to stand out without being drowned by the bigger brands in some of these existing bigger wine shows. I mean, there are lots of wine shows in the country, but the problem is the bigger brands are just that, they drown these guys at these shows. And so we thought, let's isolate wine, because, when we then cast a spotlight on this lesser known brands through an event that we curate ourselves, we will be able to tell the story better. We'll be giving these brands an opportunity to stand out in a room where, they are all, exhibiting side by side with products that or wine brands that are more or less in the same space as them. Predominantly black-owned, predominantly women-owned, predominantly, lesser known with no significant retail shelf space. And so you're even able to get, buyers from retail, hotels, etc., to come and hear the stories about these brands and ultimately give them shelf space.
And I feel like location was also very important. Why did you choose a prison break market specifically?
This is the third year that we are hosting this event at Prison Break. This is the fourth year of the event. In the first year, we had it at the Sunshine Convention Center. But over the last 3 years, we have taken it to Prison Break simply because there is already an existing consumer base that goes there, but also the layout. I mean, it gives you that feel of really being in a wine space. I mean, the venue that the guys at San Quentin who own the property and who are also venue sponsors for the event, the venue that they've given us for this thing that we keep using for this event. Once you're in there, you forget you're in Joburg. You get a sense of being, in a wine setting because of how that venue is built. But more than anything, because of the fact that it already also has existing traffic of consumers who visit the market, and it has a certain segment of the market that we knew would be open to not only discovering new wines, but to buying wines and taking those wines home. Because ultimately, that is the objective: that people discover new wines. They then buy them, go home with them, and in the process develop an affinity towards those products or those wine brands, and then keep going back to buying them because we want those brands to grow.
And I enjoy the localization of markets. I enjoy that because, when we go to the Sandton Convention Center, I feel like you program your brain into, wanting to receive information. And it's a more serious setting. But, placing it at Prison Break, I think was quite a good move now because, people are at their peak consumerist behavior. So we're there to buy. We're not there to dilly-dally and wonder if no. We're there to purchase and make, questionable financial decisions, right? All for, living in the moment. So how better to do that than through a local brand? I feel like either way, that questionable decision was going to be made. So why not make it through the local brand? And now tell me, what are some of the challenges? Because, you engage with the winemakers, and I'm sure you go through like a shortlisting process, but what are some of the general challenges of especially the smaller winemakers? What do they experience in this industry?
Some of the challenges they experience include what we are solving for with this event, and in fact, those remain amongst their whole host of challenges that they experience as business people. The big one that we're solving for are access to markets, and access to markets are split into two. Access to markets in terms of those who are targeting, consumers. I mean, ultimately, wine is very targeted at specific consumers to say, the guys need to have their wines located on retail shelves, like I said, with restaurants and hotels and lodges and liquor distributors and liquor retail outlets. And so that remains a challenge. They need to find their brands on those shelves so that consumers, ultimately can access the product. And that's what we're solving for with this event, because outside of what the public sees, which is what happens between Friday and Sunday at Prison Break, on the Thursday we actually have a closed session with buyers. And so on Thursday we had from 10 to 4 buyers working in the meetings prearranged with some of these guys to ensure that they are then able to tell the story to the decision makers who can give themselves peace. And that's the first thing we're solving for. But the one around consumers, which also talks to access to market, is really saying to us all the time that their brands are not known and their brands are struggling to find relevance with those that they are targeting, irrespective of where the wine is pitched. In terms of, because there are high-end luxury and very expensive wines, and then there are those that are entry-level, and different varietals for everyone. And so that's what this show then does, or the expo does over the 3 days between Friday and Sunday, is to expose it to thousands of customers. We had more than 1,000 people walk through the doors of the expo yesterday. We're expecting 2,000 to 3,000 more over the next 2 days. And so that is what this expo does, try and answer some of those challenges, especially those linked to access to markets and awareness and finding a way to be introduced to consumers who can then become long-standing supporters of those brands.
I don't know if it's just a me thing, but as you were speaking, I like a picture was painted in my head, right, of these winemakers just, I don't know, standing around. Like, I'm just thinking about the setup, and I think maybe I should stop thinking about the setup and probably go there and see it myself. But what are the details now? Because I know I'm not alone in this. You've painted a very pretty picture of this amazing experience. What does it look like? And to those who want to complain about the cold, please, for the fact that you're still going to work every day, put on a jacket and go there and taste wine. Please, we don't want excuses this time. What are some of the details that we need to be cognizant of? So dates, times, locations.
Look, the first detail is that you can attend at no cost. We do not charge. I mean, the intention is to make sure that people can access this expo. So there's absolutely no cost to register. We have made sure that we put it, like I said, at a market where that is accessible. So come to Prison Break Market in Lone Hill, Johannesburg, and it's from 12 o'clock until 10 tonight. And tomorrow on Sunday from 12 o'clock midday until 6 in the evening. And you can go to ProudlySA CEO.za to register, to book a ticket, to attend. But we do have a limited number of walk-ins that are also allowed. So if you're not able to book a ticket on the platforms, or even on our social media pages, in our bio, in each of our respective social media pages, there is a link. But if you're not able to, come as early as possible so that you take advantage of that limited number of walk-ins that are allowed. But you can still go and book your ticket on the Proudly South African social media pages and the website.
Amazing stuff. So thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully we might bump into one another and share a glass. For me, I can't wait to see what people are doing out there with the wine industry. It's beautiful. Thank you to Proudly South African for also championing that, championing the small businesses.
Thank you, Ntsako. Thank you very much.
Awesome. That was Eustace Mashimbye, who is the Proudly South African CEO, talking about the wine fest that is currently taking place at Prison Break. Nombusa, I don't know how much more I need to convince you. I genuinely don't understand. Her and I, this is our love language. That's why I'm failing to understand why it is so difficult to convince her. We bond over wine, girl. Come on. I mean, not today, maybe tomorrow. Let's make it like a Sunday. Sunday is for lovers. Ne? Me and you are lovers tomorrow. It is 7:26 Central African time. We're going to take a short break. We're getting into the world of tech and find out a little bit more about some of the business ICT solutions that are available. Remember, we don't spare an expense when it comes to tech. So let's not start now. It is 7:27 Central African time. We'll be right back.
Wake up with